is like more stuff's getting automated, whether it's through robotics or computer machine learning or whatever. But energy generation, say, getting cheaper and more decentralized in a place like Australia. I think the combination of those things might mean that we actually bring a lot of manufacturing back to Australia, and that we start building stuff in the country again by the end of the decade. But that the connectivity of the internet and other things will probably have an effect on white collar work, what sort of blue collar work went through when everything got offshored. So low hanging sort of white collar work may end up getting either offshored or automated and disrupted in a much more meaningful way than just the, say, or Detroit getting decimated because everything got moved offshore in America for actually making cars. Some of that sort of stuff might actually come back to developed nations.
That's that's a really fascinating take, mate. It's like you're seeing
that'll be interesting.
Well, I first of all, I absolutely agree. Like white collar workers are going to take a huge hit this decade with automation, with artificial intelligence. And it's fascinating what you talk about, the kind of the blue collar, the harder industries having a resurgence. And there's a definite possibility of that, right? And I don't think it will be like it used to be, though. I think the way it will make a resurgence is if there is a lot more automation through the entire process and there's people controlling huge portions of the supply or the manufacturing chain themselves, as opposed to looking at one particular section or something, or one particular part. But that seems feasible. The challenge is building the infrastructure that doesn't exist here. Like very little infrastructure, particularly when you compare it to the likes of China or Taiwan or the other big manufacturing industries.
It might just end up being cheaper to 3D print it here than sending the plans offshore and then shipping it all back, So we'll see.
I like that a lot, mate. And this raises another point, is I think with the huge shift we're going to see in white collar work is the rise of the gig economy again. The gig economy is another form of decentralization that's going to happen, where people are potentially less bound to big corporates and more of on a contractual nature, dealing with work that they want to deal with. But I'm also you're also looking at like some of the big tech companies, and even some of the not tech but just the startup-y vibe companies getting around, and some of them have quite family sort cultures. So I think people will seek that out as well. And I think that will increase. So I think like the social cohesion and the family orientated businesses, even for big businesses, might take an increase there, because I think people are less accepting of ludicrous positions, working exorbitant hours with no work-life balance. I don't think those days are numbered, but I think that them being totally ubiquitous across corporates is, I think that's going to take a shift.
Well, you're right. I mean, the other social institutions that perhaps used to plug the gap of, I'm getting fucked over at work, working in this factory, but at least I get to go to church on Sunday or be with my family or have these other local community sort of stuff. None of that really exists. Most people don't know their neighbours, let alone have that strong community, particularly people who live in cities, which is the vast majority of the populations. So, work needs to fill more of those gaps, particularly with the amount of time we spend there. But the exploitation of white-collar workers is something that's, we were reading an article about last night. I forwarded you. It is a big thing now, and it probably has some parallels to what the blue-collar work went through and still goes through. But certainly those that unionised kind of fixed a lot of that in Australia, but there's still heaps of it that goes on and a lot of exploitation. I'm not suggesting that, but nonetheless, it's not like early days in the Industrial Revolution, is it? But then you've got these people working for big accountancies working 14, 12-hour days, 6-7 days a week.